Oh, we're all back together here. I survived the drive back from Chicago, where I almost died multiple times. No big deal.
What does the toll road do to you? The toll
It's
road's
not.
not that bad.
So I didn't take the toll road today. I took 94 because if I would have taken the toll road, I would have died, Jerry. I would have died.
Is it snowing up there?
No, Jerry, not at all. We didn't have lake effect. Nah, not even a thing.
Dude,
No, no.
Jesus Christ. I'm never getting in a car with you if this is the case. You got to figure out 494 the toll road. That's bad vibes.
No, there was snow, Jerry. So I leave Chicago. It's beautiful, sunny and 75. One of the more beautiful days I've ever seen in my life in the winter. And then I hit Michigan City and it's
Oh,
white.
yeah. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, that'll
Yeah, it
do it.
was terrible.
That'll
It was
do it.
awful. It was about 25 miles of just white knuckling and hoping I didn't die. But I survived. It was fine. I
I
It worked out.
I will say that no matter how experienced of a driver you are, the bridge in Chicago is unnerving to
I
me.
didn't even go over that. I was on the south side, so I didn't have. I was outside of the
Uh,
city, so that
I
worked out.
had to do that like last spring break. We went to Wisconsin and drive through Chicago was a nightmare. But that bridge, it's a little freaky, dude. It gets you warbling and wibbling.
It's mad because it comes out of nowhere. You're
Yep.
just like,
Yeah.
oh, there's this bridge.
And I am like a socially like awkward person. I get very terrified. So when I run up on these toll road people like at the bridge, my anxiety's already up because I had to have a human v human interaction. So then going across the bridge just amplifies that even more.
Even better is my favorite game when you get to after the toll road, you finally pay, you do all this, and then there's two lanes. You go from 6 lanes or eight,
Yeah.
whatever, to
To,
two, and
Yeah.
it's the awkward trying to figure out who in there. And it's people driving from weird places, so there's no like Midwestern or common courtesy there, though. It's
no,
Yeah.
just
not in
it's just
Chicago.
war. It's just
Yeah.
war.
No.
Uh,
No. Not at all. No, I
Even
had
for
to
the
drive.
Indiana part of that drive, like you could go for the Chicago part, absolutely. The Chicago Sky Bridge and all that is its own mess. But even the Indiana parts too, like going to like a South Bend or coming back to Cassopolis. No, it's a mess. Like it's a bloodbath. You can't trust anybody.
No.
No, and then put the snow on top of it, and I was going 45 on 94.
See, I do appreciate you thinking. I just have the weather forecast for the Cassopolis, Michigan, like down right now.
Yeah, I would have
Like that's
thought.
something I've just got in the brain here. I'm glad to see. I'm glad you're okay. And you know what? You survived longer than the Chiefs this season.
Woo!
That is very, very true. I did. Yeah. So the Chiefs are not in the playoffs. We will talk about that later on in the show. This creepy photo says the rain is no more. Yeah, it's. I love. I will say real quick before we jump into the college football stuff. Before we get to the NFL, Michael Strahan this morning was just like, "Oh, the Chiefs are just tired. That's just all it is." No, okay. I don't think Tom Brady that was his excuse back in the day when he was going to Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl in playoffs. Um, so yeah, it's just it is crazy to think that they will not even be in the playoffs at all. Wide open for the AFC, I will say, wide open. So it's for some people like Josh Allen, it's time to put your big boy panties on and you got to win a Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
Yep.
All right, so we have some coaching changes. One that is not surprising, but a guy that he reminds me very much of like Kurt Ferentz at Iowa, where it just like a really good coach, likes the school he's at, probably had offers and chances to go to bigger schools or different places and never really took them. That would be Kyle Winningham. And I found it funny when I was looking up Kyle Winningham. He went to BYU
Yep.
and then coached at Utah, their biggest rival, which is hilarious. Um, but yeah, he's retiring from Utah after the bowl game. He was 177 and 88 in 20 seasons as their head coach. He's been a coach at Utah since 1994.
Well,
That's
the
awesome.
scary part, he stepped down. Not to correct you, but this matters in the sense that I don't remember if it was in Kyle Whittingham's contract or somebody else, but similar vibes of if he was to retire, be done. He had to tell the school by a certain day to put this transition in place and process, which we'll talk about in a second. Stepping down means he could go somewhere else. I don't
That
think he's
is
taking
very
a
true.
coaching job, but that's interesting. And it gives me a little bit of like a side eye. They had what, a 10-2 season, only 2 loss season. This makes
Yeah,
sense for
no,
this to
really
be the
good.
year. But I am keeping an eyeball on the sole fact that it was a step down, not a retirement, because usually the retirements they flaunt the whole like 9 yards. We didn't get the cool
Yeah.
9-minute video about Kyle Whittingham from Utah Athletics.
No, I mean that's a good point, Jerry. I didn't realize that. No, I mean it's crazy. I mean he's been there. I mean, so for people that don't know, he took over for Urban Meyer when Urban left to go to Florida, which is crazy to think. People don't realize that. But so the guy who's taking over as head coach is Morgan Scaly, I want to say his name is. He's been the AD, he's been the defensive coordinator and coach in waiting for a few years. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, you knew what you were getting with Utah with Kyle Winningham, and now it's something different. So this will be very, very interesting to see.
Is coach in waiting like a designated title?
I think it was for him.
Yeah, some schools are. I mean, that Jimbo had that at Florida State.
That's kind of like you handcuff yourself, right?
Well,
if he's,
so
coach in waiting for multiple seasons.
So this happened at Texas with Will Muschamp, if you do not remember. So Will Muschamp was coach in waiting at Texas. Mac Brown never left, and then Will Muschamp ended up going to Florida to be their head coach.
Wow, scandal.
Yeah, this pulling off, like the Utah successfully pulling off the coach in waiting thing, because this other schools have done this as we're profiling these examples. It doesn't always work. Like sometimes it just takes too long, especially because usually if you have a coach in waiting, it means the coach you have is pretty good. Like you don't have a coach in waiting for a 500 guy, right? But for Kyle Whittingham, you do. You let him retire. He's been fantastic for the Utah program, or step down, as I should say, because I just made that correction a minute ago, right? But yeah, for them to actually pull off the successful, have a coach in the official coach that they knew was going to step in is rare. Utah has become a good job, I think, both between how long Whittingham has been there and Urban Meyer finding success there last. But again, this is one of those places now that's had a guy there for so long that understanding the true value of Utah is a little challenging. But they're a team that obviously has already done a lot of good work in the Big 12. I think that it stays this way. But we're going to learn a lot about, I think, that program in advance. Between that and also the private equity deal.
Yeah, didn't they just get like $500 million?
Supposedly. There's a lot to unpack on that. Not that we need to do that right now in this coaching change, but there's a lot in that situation that matters here. What I'm curious about is what does Utah look like under somebody that's just not Kyle Whittingham in this modern era, in this modern world. And then I do think that private equity stuff, which, again, very boring, minute, but does matter for the grand scheme of things, that's a later conversation. That's when we're bored in March and we're talking about like the doomsday college football scenarios. That's where that episode comes in. You're welcome.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Whittingham is 66. I looked it up. So, we don't know. I mean, could he coach somewhere? No, I could see him just like going to a small school and being like a defensive coordinator or something goofy just to stay around football. Mm-hmm. But you never know. It was interesting. But it's just, like I said, he's like a Kurt Ferentz where probably could have went places to bigger schools. So Urban Meyer went, I think, lost one game his first year at Utah, then went undefeated, and they were still in the Mountain West. Kyle Whittingham got them to be able to go to the Big 12, and now they were in the Pac-12 and now the Big 12. So, they went from a non-power school to a power school, similar to TCU, where they kind of came of age and became a bigger school. So he helped navigate that. So no, it'd be interesting to see. And then the guy on the right, Kirby Moore. I don't think anybody knows anything about Kirby Moore, to be honest with you. The photos I could find of him were just at this press conference.
That's why you have me. This is why you have me. This is Missouri's offensive coordinator, Kirby Moore.
Yeah.
If you ask the Missouri fan base, this is such a win for Missouri.
Really?
That should tell you a lot. Yes, there's the constant complaint among the Mizzou fan base, warranted or not, was about offensive play calling and problems with this. Kirby Moore's been there for a while. He's been, I think, now 4 or 5 years. The best you'll remember of him is when Mizzou went like 10-2 and had that really fun offense of Luther Burden, Cody Schrader, and Brady Cook. And that's the team that ended up beating up like Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. You remember that type of offense where they were fun, electric. That is very possible. The thing about Kirby Moore is he has a lot of connections to the Pacific Northwest. He went to Boise, brother to Kellen Moore. There's the other connection that you need to know.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah, and that's a family that's been tied up in the Pacific Northwest. This is a good get, I really do think, for Washington State. Not me saying that as a Mizzou guy moving out from the coordinator. I think the challenge that Kirby Moore faced at Missouri, and he might face at Washington State, is he runs a level of a complex offense that if you keep bringing in people that transfer and stuff like that, can you run those things? And I'm not sure if that's just a Kirby Moore specific problem or a college football problem with guys moving each year. Can you really build offenses, and make things schematically challenging if you don't have people that stay for a while? But a younger coordinator. We haven't had a lot of the hot coordinator gets hired to head coaching jobs, even though all these jobs in America seem to be opening at the same time. And think about it, Wazoo's been moving on for a lot of folks quickly because they've gone to other places. So there's kind of a hope here that promoting a guy and giving him a little bit of time, maybe you're not struck again by Wazoo losing another coach. Because I remember, I think it was Jake Dickert's out there. I forget who they just had last, but they moved on to a different job. Wazoo's coach moved to Iowa State. So like, it's just like that's another snake bitten moment for a program that's already facing so much in the Pac-2. So that's going to turn into like the Pac-12 again.
Yeah.
But so it's a good grab, I do think, and it's really one that's just interesting as we learn more about what that new Pac-12 looks like in terms of like value, how the coach world sees it, how the broader college football world sees those jobs.
Yeah, well, Jerry, that's kind of like the moving on quickly thing. It was something that I was going to, because that's exactly what this feels like to me. It's like you let an offense coordinator come and get their feet wet, maybe have some success, and this almost feels like a stepping stone job if he's capable of making that next step. If he's not successful there, then we probably won't see that. But if he can find success specifically early, to me feels very much like a stepping stone for him. But it depends on his success there.
Yeah, I mean, he's only 35, so it'll be interesting.
Right.
Jimmy Rogers was the last head coach for Washington State. He was only there a year. He was at South Dakota State for a couple of years, then Washington State, and then now Iowa State. So it does very much feel like a stepping stone job.
It's turning into that very quickly, and I think that's a fair point in this situation. So there is a little bit of like being snake bit. I think that's kind of the case in a very different job, but the same idea of like James Madison, where you went from Kurt Signetti to about Chesney, and now you have Billy Napier. Like you're moving at a certain point, you keep churning and burning. It's how successful can you be? Not everyone can be Miami of Ohio and be the cradle of coaches. Like you only get so many of these in a row. So that's kind of the question mark. But I think Kirby Moore will be there a little longer. I don't think this is a one and done, like as quick of a stepping stone, because this is his first head coaching job. And it's a job that fits what he's built himself up to be for the most part, which is, again, this guy that spent a lot of his career in the Pacific Northwest with those ties. Like I could see him one day, if everything works out, being like a head coach at Boise, right? Like that's kind of the vibes he gets, is going back home. So I'm very curious how that works out, though, because the question mark that did exist was Missouri's offense. You guys have seen some of the big games, and sometimes that offense did go burr. Other times that offense went and like really bad, especially towards the end of the year. And according to Mizzou Twitter, this is the biggest day in years, and Bobby Petrino should be the offensive coordinator. Which
wow,
I've seen that way more than I should, and I don't like that. Granted, it's not from any like journalists or anything, thank God. But and it does leave an interesting vacancy, I do think, in the SEC in terms of an offensive coordinator in a job that's very precarious in terms of Drinkwitz, who is an offensive guy who gave up play calling to Kirby Moore. That is one of the reasons he's become a hotter prospect. So what that looks like long term, because Drinkwitz just hires out left field. It's a very weird in Columbia with how the hiring goes.
No, but we will see how it goes. All right, so before we move on to the Heisman Trophy, I have our results from our picks this season.
Please be above 500 or 500. Fine with 500.
Jerry, you went 51-47.
Good job, Jerry.
That would be 52% on the season.
Nice.
About 50.
Trevor, you went 54-56.
No!
Being 49%.
That's so close.
I went 63-47 for 57%.
Wow.
None of us above 60. If we were in the public grading school system, none of us got above an F. Different levels of F.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, it's.
Congrats, though, Caleb. There you go. Hey, there you go.
I
needs a pie in the face. So.
Trevor still does need a pie in the face.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough. I mean, picking games is tough. I think like people that pick games for a living are like around 50% is like good. So we're all right there. It's not like we were all terrible for the most part. I mean, it's a tough job, and some do better than others. No big deal.
If we just go back to the beginning of the season, and we all have our preconceived notions heading into the season that some of them like historically failed. Looking at like Clemson, and then the beginning hype on Florida State. So it was a pretty crazy college football season. I would say this one in particular felt hard to pick because there were upsets all the time, and you don't know who's good, you don't know who's bad. So, I will take my 49 less than half percent chance, and I'll be proud of it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not terrible. So the next story we're going to talk about, this shows you how wacky college football has been, and what it's turned into. So, an Indiana quarterback, yes, the University of Indiana quarterback, not the other school in the northern part of Indiana. University of Indiana quarterback has won the Heisman Trophy. That would being Fernando Mendoza. I don't know why I can never pronounce his name. He won the school's first Heisman Trophy last night. He received 2,362 points. I have no idea what the hell that means. Um, I mean, just and all in all, just continuation of the 2 years of Indiana football, which I would remind everybody is like the losingest program in the history of
Not
college
anymore.
football.
That's Northwestern. That's how good this 2 year run has been. Northwestern is now
It's
the
crazy.
most losingest program in college football history. Just change. I like how it just literally took 94 and just kind of found its way to Northwestern.
That's funny.
Sometimes it's a small world. No, yeah, we're talking about how hard it is to predict things and how wacky this sport is. Yeah, the Indiana quarterback winning the Heisman and doing so pretty dominantly. The point system, I think, is like whoever they kind of take all like the first place votes, second place votes, third place, all that shit. And in return, I think he also had was pretty far ahead in first place votes. Mendoza was.
Yeah, I think he had like 600 to like
Probably, I
200.
think at like 290 or something like that, if I remember. I saw it briefly.
He had 643 and 189.
Yeah, so majority here picking Mendoza. This year's Heisman race, I don't think was also as interesting in terms of like this and that. You only get so many different types of Heisman races. You usually have like 1 year, it's going to be one person. You're like, yeah, it's winning it. That's not a problem. Like that's the Joe Burrow year, right? Like everyone knew Joe Burrow was going to win the Heisman the way they're playing. Nobody's coming second. You have some years of like intrigue where it's like maybe 2 or 3 players that like legitimately have a chance. I think like usually two. I think last year Genty and Travis Hunter, like that was a legitimate discussion and legitimate argument. Then you have the years where no one really stands out, and I think those Heismans can be the most interesting. This is kind of a prime example. Like Mendoza's a great quarterback. Mendoza's a great story as well. And if you want me to get out my soapbox of the Heisman's half stats, half narrative, telling me that you have the undefeated quarterback for the number one team in the country that is historically a terrible program, and in the biggest game of their season, he goes down, then comes back and helps them win the game. Boom! I've just written your story. But you could have written the story for, I think, both Pavia and Jeremiah Love. I do think both of them had a case here. Pavia's stats aren't that great, but I think Pavia's the most valuable player in college football because I don't think a lot of quarterbacks step into the Vanderbilt system with the way it was constructed this year and have the same year. And Jeremiah Love broke history at a school that is very historic and has had so many great players by having those touchdowns and rushing touchdowns in the regular season. So interesting, but Mendoza well-earned. Great character Heisman, too. Like the guy where you're like, oh, this is a good dude. Like that type of stuff. Can make you cry. Great speech. Yeah, he sounds like a nerd, but he is a good dude, which doesn't help necessarily in the Heisman voting, but having a lot of touchdowns and not losing a game does.
I also feel like every interview that he had, basically like the last month, has been like a political campaign to win the Heisman. I mean, every interview is like inspirational speech. We're a team. Just stuff like that. I do think he deserves it. If we remember, he was like my halfway pick for Heisman. We're halfway through the season. So I do think he does deserve the Heisman. I think that it was just very much on the forefront of their as a team, I would say, for him to win the Heisman, which is good because you want someone on your team. But it just felt like a political campaign at points. But
Yeah, I mean, I think that this will probably be one of the most forgotten Heisman Trophy winners in the history. Honestly,
I don't think so. Just because
you don't think so?
Only because of how weird it is.
I think this is going to be forgotten. I think we're going to look back in 10 years and be like, who won 2025?
I think based on the history that the team has made itself, I think that will make it easy to remember. That the year that Indiana, a historically terrible program, won the Big Ten, beat Ohio State, was number one in the nation, and their quarterback won the Heisman. I think all of that will be the reason that it's pretty well remembered. I agree with you though. If Indiana was like, he has the same stats. Indiana's like fifth in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still impressive, but not the story that's being written right now. So I disagree a little bit. I think that it'll be tied to the narrative of them doing so well, but I do see where you're coming from because I think the entire class a little bit was a little underwhelming. Like Jerry said, it's much more interesting when you have guys like Manziel and Cam Newton and Marcus Mariota and these guys that are like kind of taking the college world by storm when they're playing. These guys have all kind of taken it by storm at different parts of the seasons and to different fan groups, I would say as well. Like being here, Jeremiah Love is an absolute dog. Now, I think if you don't really know ball and you're not really paying attention to Notre Dame season specifically, which a lot of people were, you wouldn't be totally familiar with how much of a dog Jeremiah Love is. But Indiana also was just kind of thrown in front of everyone, especially that Big Ten championship game.
Yeah.
I think that really solidified it. But I totally kind of agree with you.
I just think on top of this too, I think it was one of the more least memorable Heisman campaigns from all these groups. Like the run up to the Heisman was kind of because no one had a front running. I really do think this does switch if Indiana loses the Big Ten title. That's I think what also is not helping the case here is I think we said this, or I've really said it to folks around, was the winner of that Big Ten championship game kind of felt primed to take the Heisman because there was not a true for I think any of these guys. Maybe you can argue for Pavia a little bit, in that Tennessee game. I think that's you can get your closest to. Mendoza's Heisman moments, getting hurt, then coming back, right? You didn't have those, which is okay. It's not like you need to force the drama. And Indiana beat the living piss out of so many teams. You can't have that many Heisman moments when it's 1 week in Autzen and you throw a pick, then turn around, throw a touchdown. That's okay. It's that's just how this year was. But yeah, I think this is gonna be one of those that you might not think of off the top of your head, and then you're gonna go, oh, yeah, the Indiana quarterback, Mendoza. Yeah, that was crazy. Especially if, God forbid, and I'm not wishing this on this, if Indiana ever comes back down to earth at some point, this will become more memorable with that in mind. Now, if Indiana becomes this power program and challenges Notre Dame, long-term in terms of being both press program in the state, one of the best in the Midwest, maybe then this becomes more forgotten if you have now 3 years down the line, whoever the hell transfers in or is the quarterback in Indiana is also in the running. You know what I mean? It's just one of those that gets real weird. It's so weird that it might just be that memorable. Then we'll see, though. Maybe in 3 years, we're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's that. Does scream future Jets quarterback. The vibes out of all this is Jets quarterback that, it's like, oh, yeah, it's a good pick. It seems safe. And then just kind of bottoms out. And I don't even think that Mendoza's a bad guy. I like him as a dude. It's just the vibes around this give, terrible organization picks this quarterback and ruins him.
Well, and then so I think one thing that you brought up, Jerry, too, is the story that's being built around all these guys. The issue with some of this, too, is that I feel like Pavia and Love weren't being able to be pushed as Heisman more because it was, can we please be in the CFP? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You have to kind of move away from the idea of we're trying to get this guy a Heisman too. I want to be in the college football playoff. So I think that's part of it too.
Well, I also think too, Jeremiah Love would have had more of a conversation if he wouldn't have got hurt during Stanford that game, and he probably does, what he had been doing down the stretch with 150 yards, maybe a couple touchdowns. I think then his case probably builds up a little bit more. But the thing for me that would be interesting is if Indiana doesn't win the Big Ten championship game, and Julian Sand played the way that he did, and Ohio State were to win it, just Pavia win the Heisman Trophy? It's kind of what it feels like, right?
There's a world where that exists, but I also see Julian Sand winning it because then you can make the same argument you made for Mendoza of number one quarterback with good stats wins Big Ten title game, and that story can be written as well. I do think that I truly believe now there's a world where if Sand is that bad and they win 7-10. That you're like, well, yeah, maybe I think it's a closer race. I think maybe the build-up's better, but then Mendoza winning it just kind of solidified the final piece. I think even before that game, Mendoza's kind of a front runner, but if it's if Sane comes in here and whoops some butt, it turns completely. So I think there's a world where it is. Pavia needed to beat Alabama. I think that would have probably solidified it because one year, yes, then you don't have the CFP push. You also have your Heisman push, more specifically. But that was that big time game early in the season where he made some big mistakes and they lost. And that's the thing is like their two losses are good losses, but like like the other one they had was Texas. Like they needed to be either A in the playoffs or B in those games. He needed to be fantastic. In those games, he was just fine. Now, if I told you that Vanderbilt walked into Knoxville and beat them, beat the Volunteers by 2 scores, and you want to write that story, you could write that story really well. Again, I do think there's a level of narrative here that matters when it comes to the Heisman Trophy that Pavia had, but it just in some of those big moments in those big games, especially the ones they lost, he was not that good. If he were fantastic in those games and they still lost, then it's a different conversation. But like those 2 fumbles against Bama really hurt. That first half against Texas really hurt. And it's a tight race, especially when you have a team that has not lost a game this season.
I think too, it's really because when the best player in the NFL gets the MVP award, the most valuable player award, the Heisman, it's like the most outstanding, and what does that really mean? Is he the most important or is he the one with the best stats? Well, I think so. A lot of times it's a combination of both. And I think it's also a lot of like a vibe thing too. So I think that Pavia had the vibe. I do agree with Jerry. There was a lot of times where he could have solidified himself as the Heisman or at least the Heisman favorite, and he failed to do so. But I wouldn't be totally. And Jeremiah Love was another guy who could very well have won it if Mendoza doesn't win the Big Ten championship. To me, though, where this really started to get kicked off was that game-winning touchdown in Penn State, where that was kind of like, to me, it was like you have to make a play. You find the dude. It's a spectacular play by the wide receiver mostly, but it's a very memorable play, and that will be played. And I'm sure I didn't keep a total eye on the Heisman stuff because I was pretty sure he's going to win. But, that probably was part of the Heisman package, him going down and throwing that, that having a spectacular play in the end zone to win the Penn State game. But, this was very weird. And I think all of them had a pretty good chance, if some things went different ways, had a good chance of making it. I think Mendoza just had the perfect storm towards the end of the season that really solidified it.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the year of Fernando Mendoza. I mean, he's looking like he's going to be the number 1 overall pick, Indiana, number 1 seed going into the playoff.
What do you guys think about that? You think he should be the number 1 pick?
Number 1 pick?
We still got Ty Simpson, which he kind of fell off a little bit.
Give me the college football playoff, and I'll give you answers. Because the nice thing about this college football playoff, for better or worse, is that a lot of these guys will face some really good teams that you'll get a really good idea of who separates. Especially in terms of quarterback, but also the quarterback class this year, everyone has their flaws. There's no like super duper human being. Mendoza's a good guy. He's not super duper athletic, right? He's more of a pocket passer. He's super accurate. How's that looking? There's each one of these guys that they have questions, but they can answer them. Like, you give him, I forget who's in the first round after who Indiana could play, but I know it's somebody that has a decent defense. If he lights up that defense, okay, we can have that discussion. Or if Ty Simpson lights up Oklahoma, that's going to get me really looking at him because Oklahoma is a great defensive team and has 3+ weeks to game plan for somebody. So we'll have a lot. I think give us the CFP. Don't worry. We're going to do our draft talk. And Trevor, we don't talk about the draft. Remember?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, I will say, I think what is going to move him up on a lot of boards is the intangibles, the likability factor. I think is what's going to win him over. Some, just the personality, that type of thing. I think is where people are going to fall in love with him, probably in the draft rooms.
I think too, though, this might be a draft where our draft boards say one thing. But this could be a draft where maybe, outside of the top 5, there's not even a quarterback taken. Because obviously you got to fit needs, but there's no quarterback that blows me away that it's like, I shouldn't go get this, this amazing left tackle or this amazing edge rusher or this amazing safety when he's there. That's just kind of how I feel like, a great edge rusher or Mendoza. I might go with a great edge rusher, you know what I mean? Because that's kind of a guy you can put him in right away and he does things. Mendoza, I think, is going to have some growing pains, which is kind of scary because that's usually where it's like you're a bust, you go to the backup, and then Sam Darnold will see you in 8 years when you kind of start to pick it up and actually do things. And that's a lucky story. That's a good story. There's tons of bad stories. So
yeah,
Well,
I mean,
dude, me and Caleb usually would have your answers, but our Bears would have 10 wins this year. We're not looking at the draft lottery. We're not looking at tankathon.com, baby.
I'm not worried about Fernando Mendoza becoming a Bear at this point.
This is a year where we're not looking at the draft right now. We're looking at the playoff standings. How much longer, I don't know. But, our draft boards aren't up yet. I haven't looked at tankathon.com once this season. We are in December, dog. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
No, I mean, look, you just don't worry about it. We'll get there in April. All right, so Pavia was second, Jeremiah Love was third, Julian Sand was fourth, Jacob Rodriguez was fifth, Jeremiah Smith was sixth, Gunnar Stockton was seventh, Chambliss was eighth, Caleb Downs was ninth, and Haynes King was 10th. So that kind of worked out the top 10 there. Kind of goofy it goes that far, but whatever. All right, now on to a story that we talked about a lot.
What are we even going to say right now?
Well, I'm going to talk about his charges and then get Jerry's opinion of it all.
Okay, I'm going to take it back.
I'm gonna go to my my old TV days here. We're gonna give you an update on a story brought to you Wednesday. So Sharon Moore's fired for cause because of an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Of course, he was also arrested that night. There short after. So we figured out what he got charged with on Friday. It was 3rd-degree home invasion and 2 misdemeanors: stalking and domestic relationship, and breaking and entering. Moore was released from jail on $25,000 bond. The whole thing is just wild.
This is terrible, dude.
This is the whole thing. Just continue. It was a continuation of a story. I said it on Wednesday. It was like he got fired. What did he get fired for? Or he got fired for cause. What was the cause? Inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Okay, it turned out to be his assistant. Okay, then what happened? Now he's arrested. Well, why was he arrested? And it's just like,
oh my gosh.
It was like a ladder that continued to go on. Jerry, we've not heard your thoughts on this whole thing. We have, I don't even want to say it, we've beaten this drum a lot. We had Luke on to talk about it as well. What were your thoughts when you heard about this entire thing?
This it's so every couple of years we just have bad situation happen. Pick school, pick place, pick time. But each scandal is unique, and this one's highly unique because this is very involved on the headman, which is Sharon Moore, right? Obviously, a lot of thoughts and shout out to a lot of folks here in this situation. There's a lot to still digest. There's still a lot to learn. The thing I keep thinking about is, first, I think about a lot of the folks that are on the sidelines here that get impacted heavily. I think of a lot of those staffers at lower levels that have no play in this, like those GAs that are crunching tape right now for their game against Texas, and all season been working off their tail. That now with this late firing and all the stuff that follows, might get screwed out of a job, right? There's a lot of, I think a lot of people who are Michigan fans that might have sensitivities and struggles with this sucks to see arguably one of the most prominent figures in the system be in this situation. Also, what the hell is going on in the state of Michigan? Not just university wide, both Michigan State, a lot of problems coming out of the
just means more up here, Jerry. It just means more.
No, it just means scandal up there. That's what it means. I don't Mel Tucker did it. Mel Tucker had one winning season, man. And then did one of the dumbest things I've seen in early times. They turned around and got Pat Fitzgerald 2 years later. No nice guy. And then the Sharon Moore stuff, which is the question I have long term here is, how deep did this go into the building? Is this just Sharon Moore, staffer, we're done? Or is this involving a lot of people? Was there a level of cover up? How involved is Ward Manuel in this? I know Michigan's on interim president, which also matters here too, in this situation. But it's a tragedy. This is bad. And it's not just bad because of, coach get fired. We're talking about a criminal case, guys. That's highly problematic. I don't really care about the football aspect in the immediate. We will kind of figure out what that looks like over time. The one nice thing for the university specifically, this is not like an NCAA investigation. I think that's what differs this from a lot of situations. This is not Hugh Freeze, cheating up with prostitutes on the university phone. Again, that he somehow got another SEC job, guys. By the way, but also then was cheating with recruits, right? So then you had like that dual whammy at Ole Miss. This is not obviously a worse situation. Art Briles at Baylor and the Baylor scandal, which was NCAA written and then legal written, right? This was just a legal mess.
Yeah.
So how much of that actually stains Michigan and puts them in like NCAA troubles or problems? Very minimal. I do think that there needs to be a fresh start, though. You cannot go back to a Harbaugh adjacent, folks. Like, not just a John Harbaugh, but like, don't give me Jesse Minter.
Jerry, what are you talking about? They're all about Michigan men. You're like, crazy. Why would you never? Wow,
with all
Jerry,
those,
Jerry, don't say
with
that.
all the SHIT that's gone on here the last couple of years, with the stupid scandal, which I think a lot of people who didn't like Michigan wanted to make the cheating scandal what this is, right? They want to be like, oh, Michigan, this, oh my God, Michigan, this dirty, terrible program. And then in the meantime, their now head coach is literally threatening to kill himself in front of the person that he was cheating with, right? Like, this is a legitimate big boy scandal. You want to be a big boy? This is a big boy scandal, right? Like, that is where we're at on this. As Trevor, like, cannot hold himself down. Man, he's a true Notre Dame fan. Michigan struggles, he laughs. I
think it's just because this whole thing is absurd.
It is. It is completely absurd. There is like.
Sorry, my dog came in the room.
Yeah, that's what it was. He's barking up the Sherrell tree.
He is. He broke and entered.
But I do think that's the severity of this could just wipe away, and Michigan is fine. The other thing is it doesn't really help Michigan that happened now either. I do want to make that clear. Like, I get it that stuff happened with the recruiting class and stuff. I think this goes beyond like people who are thinking about recruiting classes and stuff like that. Like, I don't think Ward Manuel waited 4 more days to make sure they got whatever rank class they did. So this is a legal mess. This is and stuff like that. So I don't, and a lot of those stuff up top probably makes this hiring more interesting, because if Ward Manuel goes, then now you have an interim president and a very strong board. I think it's Board of Regents up there, right? Like,
I couldn't tell you.
Everyone names them different, but they all do the same thing. But there's still a lot to unpack here. So we'll see. I think Michigan football will be fine. They'll find a fine coach. I don't care where they go right now, as a lot of this stuff still has to play out within the court battle and world like that. But this is capital B bad. We're putting this in the Hugh Freeze world of like dumb, stupid, bad.
Well, it's just preposterous, because it's like you have this guy who you look at as like a head coach of one of the biggest programs in the country. He gets fired for cause for something he did to get fired. This is, use his own words, his blood is on his hands. When you look at it, and then he goes and does one of the stupidest things you'll ever see in your life. I mean, he could have rebuilt his life, got an offense coordinator job, worked his way back up potentially. We've seen it. Jerry alluded with the Hugh Freeze stuff. And then you do this, and you're done now for your career as whatever you thought it was going to be. And so, I mean, the whole thing is just nuts. To the point with Ward Manuel, it sounds like he's not going to get fired. They had a vote or had a discussion with their board, and reportedly or supposedly it was 5-3, but they want it to be unanimous. They have an interim president. Somebody made a great point. They're like, you don't want to have an interim president, an interim AD, and an interim coach. But my argument is you cannot let Ward Manuel hire this coach and then you're going to fire him. That is a joke, because what do we see? Michigan State's a prime example. You get a new AD, Jonathan Smith, after 2 years, you're gone. He brings in his own guy. So you cannot do that. If you're going to get rid of Ward Manuel, you have to do it now. I think you should clear house. What has happened underneath his watch as the AD of Michigan from 2014 has been awful. I agree with Jerry. The Harbaugh thing is getting rid of the Harbaugh men, but Jerry, that is Michigan football.
I get it. I do. And I understand that. There is a level here of tradition, and there's going to be people. I think a lot of Michigan fans are going to look at probably some of those possible candidates, and they're going to write people off from this job because they don't have the Michigan man.
Oh, dude, the prime candidate for Jerry. So what do you think about this? I said this, and I got gawked at Wednesday.
You did get gawked at.
This is a great hire. I'm not even joking. This is a fantastic hire. They'd probably win a championship with him. David Shaw.
I don't hate it.
Yep. See, But the Michigan people are like, "Oh, you're an idiot. Oh, you would have been." The guy's like still 55. He's like over 100 wins in college football. He was at one of the worst programs historically in Stanford. He works.
Win.
The Seahawks won. Oh, they did beat him.
Kicked the field goal with 18 seconds left.
So, yeah, I mean, to me, you hire David Shaw, the guy who's worked underneath the academic parameters. You give him the resources of a Michigan, he's going to dominate. But what do Michigan fans do? They gawk at me. They say I'm an idiot and whatever. But I'm just trying to help them win championships over here. But whatever.
Well, I think the hard part about this too, again, this is what I think.
And he's a hardball guy.
And like the thing is, like a guy like Shaw, the question I would have, like the legitimate question I would have is, well, and especially a lot of the guys, this is why we are in the current coaching trend we're in, is can you recruit and work in this new NIL world? We haven't seen David Shaw work in this world, right? Like to go back, I keep going back to James Madison because go G5, right? Like Billy Napier was a great G5 coach in 2021. There's a lot that's happened in college football since 2021, in case you've forgotten, right? So can you keep that? Like, can David Shaw be successful in Michigan? Sure, there's a definite path here. Can he navigate NIL and all this new landscape? I don't know. So I think it's a fair question. Michigan fans are going to think, and I don't think they're wrong in this, but there's going to have to be some understanding. Because you're getting them for cause, you don't have to pay a contract. That's a big deal. There's not a buyout associated with this. And I do think this is one of the rare times I believe this, that when they fire him for cause, unless they did it wrong, which I've seen reports that Ward Manuel fired him without HR and like correct people in the building, that does matter. But let's say they knock this out, and like if I forget what his buyout is, but they knock him out for like $3-4 million, which is very minimal sum for a school like Michigan. You can go and take swings. And it'll be, I think Michigan fans will think, well, hey, we don't have to pay $20+ million to get rid of Sherrone Moore. Why not get Kalen DeBoer? Right? Yeah. Like, and I know it's a name that gets floated and like this and that. I have no clue if that works or if it happens.
Well, he put out a statement, Jerry.
Sure. A lot of these teams have. Don't worry. Lane Kiffin at one point said he wasn't going to leave Ole Miss, right? Like,
oh no, I agree. Well, yeah, I mean, so all right, so we'll move there. Like, so Kenny Dillingham, a guy they looked at, just signed an extension with Arizona State. Looks like he's not leaving. Kalen DeBoer said he put out a statement today saying he's going to stay at Alabama. We'll see. You also have to remember he has a playoff game this Friday, so anything can happen after that. Eli Drinkwitz, I heard the name being thrown around. He just got an extension. You have to buy that out. I highly doubt that one.
His buyout did not change. That's a big deal.
Oh, it did not change.
So his contract went up, but the buyout if another school were to come get him, his buyout has not changed.
Oh, nice. So he'd go from one Block M to another.
Yeah, he could, and he has beaten Ohio State the last time they played. So there you go. You need me to sell you on Eli Drinkwitz, which I do not want. Then there you go. You could go a lot of different directions. There are going to be big name swings here. But again, one of the things that I would not take into whole heart is that an extension means you're staying. Because again, now we are working under different money constraints. First of all, Michigan doesn't care about money. Right? This is one of those schools that's not good. If you call Michigan broke, they'll show you they're not. Okay, Jay Portnoy would spend $30 million right now on a head coach. I'm not saying he should. I'm not saying it's a good investment, but if I told you that he did that, none of you guys would blink an eye. Right? No. You think Tom Brady, if they asked Tom Brady right now to throw in a couple million, that he would? I mean, how do you think Bryce Underwood got to Michigan? It wasn't just Sherrone Moore. Like
Larry Ellison, baby.
Yeah, like the money is there, so they can buy people out. Like names like Kenny Dillingham are realistic. A Drinkwitz is realistic.
I heard Elko. I heard Elko.
That's a name that could happen there. I think Elko likes A&M.
The funniest name I heard in this is Tommy Reese. I swear to God, it's a legit, actual thing, and it is. If it happens, I will laugh my ass off. Child's program.
I will say, Michigan probably won't get Mike Elko, but they need their Mike Elko. They need a guy who will just coach football, is not associated with the university in any way, shape, or form. Mike Elko didn't have a lot of ties to Texas A&M when he took that job, right? You don't need a Harbaugh man, especially because the Harbaugh tree right now, they've gotten you a national title. It got you one of the stupidest scandals in college football. And then his replacement, the guy on his staff, has one of the scariest scandals in college football and is literally sitting in an all-white jumpsuit on a Zoom call and looks like a totally different man than that photo, right? And, like, the vibes there, terrible, right? With all the situation.
And there's a guy down the road in Detroit that's a quality control coach that could, think nothing about football. You hire him a GM, and he's going to win you 12 games a year and probably a couple national titles.
You know, I look at that situation. They can go a lot of different ways. Michigan fans are going to want them to swing. That's the thing. And I feel like that's what the problem with the situation is. There's so much turmoil. You need someone who's quiet. You need somebody who's just going to coach football, who is not going to be outspoken or do something stupid. You don't need Connor Stalions gate type ideas right now. You need someone who's just going to tell you that Michigan's one of the best places to play, that's going to say beat Ohio State every other week, and then just win games. You can have that here. The guy who could have been that for you is at Penn State, and I think that's part of the problem right now. The person that would have made the most sense in this job, and a job I think he waited out for, Matt Campbell at Iowa State. He's not the sexiest, but God, you know how great he would be right there with a program.
Michigan fans don't like that either, Jerry.
I know they don't like it, but they don't. This is why it's almost the same idea as I thought with Jonathan Smith with Michigan State, where I get it, he wasn't that good, but for 2 years, people didn't talk about Michigan State's problems, and like that
Very
matters
true.
right now. And right now, if you go into the other big swing, and okay, let's say God forbid you get Kalen DeBoer, and you make that big home run, and then he's 9-3, they're like, oh yeah, look, Sherrone Moore did all this, and he was cheated. Like there's a world you could go as big as you want, but I'm telling you, it gets real disgusting real quick. But I have no clue where this goes because God forbid something happens where Emmanuel gets fired or a board member makes a big decision. I know they have accepted going into like a deeper probe. So if something comes out in the next week or two, that can cause real problems in this search. So where's the next person? No clue. Keep Biff Poggi for all I care. I love Biff. Biff's a great college football guy.
Like you said, I think David Shaw's a home run. I think it's a great hire. If they did it, they won't. I think they're going to go Jed Fish. He was there with Harbaugh for a year. He's a somewhat Michigan man. He's got connection. I think that's where they're going to go. Will it work out? I don't really know, but it seems like that's where they're going to go with it. But it is interesting to see I don't know. I feel like the longer it takes, maybe something's brewing with Ward Manuel and all that, or maybe Kalen DeBoer. We don't fully know that yet. But I mean, it is funny how they're just you try to give them a coach that has over 100 wins, couple Rose Bowls, something that they would love to have, and they're just laughing at it. But we'll see. But no, the whole thing is crazy, and we'll just keep an eye on it, of course. All right, now we move into the NFL. We'll start with the Chiefs. I also have breaking news. Patrick Mahomes has tore his ACL.
Oh, gosh.
So that changes a lot of this because not only does it hurt the Chiefs this year with not being able to make the playoffs, but moving forward, how long will this take for him to recover? And I don't know. I feel like people come back fairly easy from this, but he's a guy that's ran a lot more this year. So will that affect that? But yeah, the Chiefs missed the playoffs for the first time since 2014. First time Mahomes doesn't make the playoffs, tears his ACL. This is just everything bad happening for the Chiefs right now.
Dude, that ACL, as you said, Caleb, wildly changes this conversation. Patrick Mahomes is 30 years old. I know it doesn't feel like it. I mean, we're also getting older here as we all sit, in our boxes. But he might be able to come back a little bit earlier than years past and stuff like that. But now we're having the age discussion about the guy that you never thought we'd have the age discussion about. Because if he tears his ACL 5 years ago, obviously we talk about this way differently, but maybe you can have a little bit more optimism on that bounce back. That gets a little bit more dicey when we're talking about a guy who's right now 30. It's going to take about at least a year, maybe a little less, to try to fully rehab and then go out and play the violent sport that is football, where in a position where you can get your knees hit pretty easily, right? He is just one bad tackle or one little slip from a defensive lineman after he makes a throw from re-screwing that thing up. There is a part of me that does fear that this does mean the Chiefs get a good draft pick, which they have not had in years, and then turn around and then get the person they've been missing for a while, like a stud wide receiver in like the mid, first round or something like that. That is scary to think about. But it's been crazy because I think all season, all of us have kind of kept the posture of like, I know they're not playing well, but they're the Chiefs. They keep figuring it out. And for years on end, they have figured it out. But when you play that one-score game, which they did, the Chiefs loved being in a 6-point battle at near the end of the fourth quarter, and then maybe hitting a field goal to put out reach, or being down and then hitting that game-winning field goal. Law of averages kind of caught up. Now, last year they were like perfect in those situations. This year they weren't. That when you only have a difference of 5 to 6 points, that is very possible. You can be a great coach. You can be awesome. It's still the NFL. All it takes is one bad. It takes the Travis Kelce interception where he has the ball in his hands and it flicks off. Instead of now being in a one-score game where you have the lead, you're now down trying to drive. That's the variance of this comes very quickly. And before we get to this moment now where you lose Mahomes the rest of the year and all this stuff, and now you can just tank it all the way through, each one of those weeks, it's like, oh, they're in these games, but they were all in those games last year. They just came out winners. This year they didn't. This did not look that much different. They just did not execute as thoroughly and frankly, in some ways, didn't get that same luck because you need a little bit of help, a bounce here and there, a missed catch here and there to win the way they were. But they didn't get them this year, and then now here we are. The Chiefs have been knocked out of playoff contention before the Chicago Bears. I don't know the last time you could see that.
Since like 2014, probably.
That's nuts in its own right.
I will say, so I just did some research here. This is going to be, it's actually kind of scary, but Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady are very similar. So both have 3 Super Bowls before the age of 30. Tom Brady tore his ACL at 31. Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL at 30. These guys are more similar than I would like to say. Both have missed the playoffs once before or up to age 30. This will be the first time Mahomes missed. Tom Brady missed, I want to say, in 2002. These guys are this is actually terrifying. They both tear their ACL around the same time. Both have 3 Super Bowls. I'm predicting it right now. Patrick Mahomes is going to play another 10 years with the Chiefs. He's going to leave, go to a different team, and win a Super Bowl with them. And he's going to finish with 7 Super Bowls.
Okay. I like playing this game because this means we have to find Patrick Mahomes a team that has no connection to, no reason to be there, and they still just take him. New Orleans, congratulations! You have a Super Bowl coming to the Mercedes Dome in 2033 or whenever that timeline hits. So congratulations! I like playing that game. That's the most fun of this. The question I do have about the Chiefs long term though is, you've got to get some receivers, right? But the guy who's been Mahomes' right hand man, I think this is the last year of Travis Kelce. I don't know.
He's done. He's done.
We talked about that Wednesday, Caleb.
I feel like it's just kind of the quiet part out loud. He's made his money, and honestly, I worry that if he does come back next year, we're going to have really sad conversations about what is one of the best tight ends this sport has ever seen. But these guys don't know when to quit, so there's a world where Mahomes keeps coming back, or not Mahomes, Kelce keeps coming back, trying to have that magical season. Just don't. Just keep doing a New Heights podcast with your brother. Go on TV here and there. You've had a great career. Let's just call.
Be engaged to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, enjoy that. Okay, I'll tell you as an engaged man, it's fun. Enjoy it. Have those moments. But I do think there is going to have to be some changes in Kansas City, and this might just be the right thing that sparks it, which is also scary to think about. Because again, for example, they'll be drafting in the kind of that lottery mid part of the draft now.
As of right now, they have the 12th pick.
Exactly. So, and if they lose their next 3, which is very possible, I don't know what they're going to look like. And they might try to compete through, but they're officially eliminated from the playoffs. So they can only go so much higher, right? There's only so many things they could do. What happens if they get this stud tight end that replaces Travis Kelce? I know they have Gray on that roster. He's fine. But, part of the magic of Patrick Mahomes is that he's always had that, a receiver or a person he could go to that they kind of just make it up and it works, right? Where Tyreek Hill, it's all right, just run deep, I will find you. Travis Kelce with Chris Collinsworth and calling every game, it felt like being look at what Travis Kelce does here. He's supposed to run an out route, but he just stops and Mahomes just knows it. He just sees it. It's amazing. I mean, look at this guy. He's just one of the greatest. We feel like we've all heard that call before. And then Mike Tirico's trying to figure out a way to talk about the other team just for a second. But it's what happens when you don't have that part 2? When you don't have that guy that could be maybe generational even, but unique. I don't know if Rashee Rice is that. I think he's a good receiver. I don't know if he's Tyreek Hill, right? I don't know Noah Gray is Travis Kelce. So you're going to have to find that, even if just one good piece. And also the offensive line is going to have to get better. They lost some pieces in there, right? And I get it. He'll come back. He'll still be great. That's, I think, a fair thought. You got to protect him. He's not getting any younger. Again, we're talking about a 30-year-old and a guy who is more mobile than Tom Brady, which I think is an important asterisk here. That while Tom Brady obviously had longevity, Tom Brady didn't move his ass out the you-know-what, and he didn't take hits. He was smart that way. That's how he stayed as long as he did. That's why Phillip Rivers could show up in a Colts uniform, right? Like, we'll talk about the NFL more in a minute. But, like, that's why Phillip Rivers could still do this, because he didn't take hits. He stayed in the pocket. He wasn't running that damn ball. He wasn't taking a hit. Mahomes takes hits. Mahomes hits people. That does matter. That wear and tear does add up here, and it's something that this injury makes me ask a lot more questions long-term, because what happens if you don't have the magical Mahomes scramble to beat the Bills again? Like, that could be limited. That extra step matters. The Chiefs have relied on extra steps, extra yards, the 4th and 1 and getting just 2 yards to do it. Now the guy who's been arguably, I think, the best that we've ever seen growing up, getting the 2 yards you need, getting the extra step, reaching out, hitting the pylon, whatever, that's what Mahomes has been great at. You lose that step, game of inches. So I'm very curious what that looks like long term.
I mean, we will see, and especially see how long the recovery process is. I talked about Wednesday, them getting rid of Joe Tooney was probably the worst thing for them, and everywhere Joe Tooney goes, he wins, and they no longer have him. Creepy Photo says, yeah, they may be getting Jay Love, which would be Jeremiah Love at the 12th spot. They would 100% be back. He'd be their new Jamal Charles. It'd be, yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. When you're up there, you're gonna have a chance to do a lot of things. They could trade back, get more picks. You never really know exactly what could happen. But it's just interesting how you have this season where they're not playing well, you miss the playoffs, and then you also Patrick Mahomes tears his ACL for a guy who's been fairly healthy for most of his career. So that's interesting. All right, so as we get into the NFL, so I'm going to go through this series of comments from Creepy Photo Nolan Mark here. This is hilarious. He goes, Blake Griffey, come on, we need to stop, D. And then he goes, fuck Phillip, just gave all as he can his last throw, and it went 20 yards. Valiant effort. It looked like he threw his whole body off place. So we can start there. The Colts lose to the Seahawks, but give the Seahawks one of the better games they've had all year, I would say. The Seahawks won 18-16, continuing their fight for the division, AFC West divisional lead, and maybe the 1 seed. The Colts continue to, what is this now, 4 in a row? I think they've lost.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, though, it's weird to say, but I think Phillip Rivers, it feels like, gives them a better chance than old Danny Dimes at 44. And Trevor, we talked about it also on Wednesday, his clock for the Hall of Fame resets.
Dude, it's such a mess. It is legit. That is legitimately such a weird situation. I do think Phillip Rivers got the benefit of, oh my God, the tape we're looking at is from 2020. Things have changed. So I don't know if 3 weeks from now, Phillip Rivers looks as good as he did against the Seahawks. They were just like, maybe they'll run the same offense. Maybe they're just going to give Jonathan Taylor the ball 40 times. Like, that does help here. A lot of, we're talking about a guy who came back, and because of injury problems, dude, a lot of big injuries this week too. Mahomes, obviously, we just talked about. Micah Parsons got hurt in his game against here in Green Bay. And Devontae Adams, his hamstring, which has been a problem all week, I know because I'm in fantasy, also kind of locked up after a throw. So, like, that's another thing we're monitoring here is that this is that time of the year where when you have some older guys, I'm not just saying every older dude gets hurt, but, like, the wear and tear is legit. People are getting beat up, and a lot of star players are now, had to walk off of a game, not playing the game, stuff like that. So that's something I'm monitoring as a big picture thing. Trevor, congratulations. You guys won again.
They're back.
You feel good. I think you needed that one.
Fine. They can put the bunny or whatever they had in the locker room, blow it back up.
Yeah. Saquon still didn't do very well, but
it doesn't matter. Win's a win. You guys are
we'll take it. I mean, they was against the Raiders as well, and we have to play the Commanders, Bills, Commanders. So probably lose one to the Commanders, and then lose to the Bills, and then we'll finish the season 10-7.
And he says that's like somewhat sad. Man, the greed that you have sickens me, Trevor.
Hey, win the damn game.
I think you guys are going to sweep the Commanders.
That's
I
very
would like to
doable.
think so. But remember, like we lost to the Giants in the kind of terrible fashion, and then we did beat them. But then like the Commanders are also pretty terrible. But again, like they were like a 1 point away from beating the Broncos, which like name a hotter team than the Broncos right now. So
That's very true. They're super hot.
I don't know. I can just see us dropping one of the Commanders, dropping to the Bills, and then being 10-7, and then uh, you know, I don't know. So the Saquon thing is really not making me not very happy because I mean I get he's not going to have the career or the season he did last year, but it is a dramatic step down. So we maybe we'll get it figured out, maybe we won't, and then we can trade him for the first pick.
You're going to trade him now. This is
Yeah,
he
get
had
him.
22 carries for 78 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yep.
I mean, it's not bad. I'll say
I
a
mean,
team.
he averages like
Yeah, 3 yards
three
a
and a half.
carry.
Yeah, I mean, which I mean, you know, if you run through the ball 3 times or 4 times in a row and get 3 yards carry, you get first down. So
No, it's very true. I'll say a team that's back, bounced back this week. Dub Bears. We did what we were supposed to against the Browns. I will say. It's what you're supposed to do. We dominated them. We made Shadur look like the 5th round pick that he is. Um, and Caleb Williams. Here's my thing. People love to hate on this guy, and he makes one of the most spectacular throws you'll ever see. I was listening on the radio as I was trying not to die on my way back from Chicago. Um, and the guy on the radio thought he was throwing the ball away. And DJ Moore ends up coming out of nowhere, touchdown. Everybody's like, heart stops pounding at the end of the first half because he gets hurt. And then he comes running out of the locker room. I mean, this guy is just, people love to hate him, but I may start painting my fingernails.
I do have a running thing where I've always told myself that if the first quarterback in Bears history to get 4,000 yards, I'd buy their jersey, and we're getting closer to that, which
It's
is nice.
close.
Which I mean, I have to now get 2 jerseys because I do need to get a Luther Burger jersey at some point in my life. That just kind of is too
You have
good
to.
as
It's only
Trevor
right.
Zinn, Papa Zinni. Dude, are we betting on Trevor Zinn here? Is that what's going on, man? Just do it. Let's be a man. Let's be an adult.
I don't care. Do it.
Be an adult and take your Zinn. Don't just sit there and hide it.
Wait till we have a
Right?
stream where all we do is drink a
I
24
was
each.
I chewed my fingernails recently. I know, terrible habit. But
As he places in.
there's a little yeah. there's a little thing where you can take your Zin out and place it into the bottom. And so I was having a real tough time getting that open. You got to fit your fingernails in there, like pry it out.
You have no fingernails.
So your one habit is actively hurting your other habit.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm gonna have to stop chewing my fingernails, I guess.
There we go. What a takeaway. Also, some wackiness just in general. Obviously, Bills, Patriots. That feels like another playoff matchup we'll see in a couple weeks.
Bills were down big time, weren't they? And they came back.
They pulled the lead course on there. Talking about some not so fast, my friend. Coming back here in that second half, there's wackiness there. I look at the Ravens game. That was that's some bad news if you're Cincinnati, because they were trying to make like that last second run, which they kind of been doing the last couple of years of like, oh, we're struggling, everyone's mad. Is Joe Burrow going to retire? And then they start winning games. I was like, oh, okay. And then they just got their tails whipped. The Commandos, I know you're worried about them, Trevor. They almost blew this game to the Giants. They were trying to run the clock off and then fumbled.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
So there is a lot going on here.
Mario
We're keeping
Cristobal, their coach. The Broncos just beat the Packers.
That's big time here, too, because a lot of these 4 o'clock games have major impact here as we keep an eye on. Obviously, we're just watching here. What is it? Green Bay, Denver.
That's massive for the Bears. That is massive. Next week is another big game when you look at it for the division lead. I think we'll go in now tied again at that game. It looks like the Packers will be 9-4-1. The Bears are 10-4, of course. So, this is setting up to be a crazy year. This comment from Kelly here: Mahomes stunk. Period. He's a pretty good quarterback, I would say. You'd take him on your team, Kelly. But yeah, it's starting to ramp up. Did the Panthers end up beating the Saints?
No, the Saints ended up winning.
Are you kidding me, dude? This division is trash. Awful.
Well, that's going to be the division that whatever team gets left out of the NFC North is going to look at and just be like, Are we serious, dog? Like it's always one division every year and it's usually that division where you just sit there and you go like, how the hell is Tampa Bay here? And then you're like, or how are the Panthers here? And then let's say the Bears, because we're used to sadness. Like the Bears finally have a generational year, and then they get left out for like the Panthers get stomped in the wild card.
I swear to God, if both my teams get left out of the goddamn playoffs, I'm gonna riot.
At least one of them's not. At least one of them would be not subjective. One of them would be just objective win and loss. All right, you can at least hang your head on that. No, this feels like a really pivotal week. I know obviously it's late season, no duh, Jerry, but like between obviously some of the big games here in this 4 o'clock slate, 3 o'clock slate, my time.
I actually, Jerry, yet again, I was on Central Time again. It's not so bad.
You traitor, dude.
I mean,
you're such a traitor.
I will say though, Micah Parsons believed to have suffered torn ACL.
That was what I was keeping an eye on that too. Again, this is where I'm talking. This is you just proved my point of how pivotal this week feels in terms of not just results on the field, but again, now Mahomes out, Chiefs out of the playoffs. That's huge. Micah Parsons and the Green Bay Packers trying to make a run. Their defense staunch, one of the best in the country. Now loses their star player. I don't know. Again, if Devontae's hurt for an extended period of time here for the Rams, that's a big deal.
Holy shit, this may be our Super Bowl year.
Dude, I don't go that far.
I tried telling you, Jerry, we should have booked our tickets to San Francisco back in April.
I'm going to tell you this right now, dude. I'm going to tell you this right now. The last time the Bears had real playoff hope and all the vibes are great, we hit the post not once but twice. And Trevor, don't you dare laugh.
Jerry, this is starting to heat up.
I'm still
I need somebody to take out Matthew Stafford's ACL, and then I'll feel even better.
I cannot in good conscience root for injuries. Maybe it just makes me a moral man. I don't know, but
yeah, you're better than me, Jerry.
It's not saying much. Don't worry. Don't worry. In return, just start walking on your toes. That will make you a better man. As I said, for me so far. And then just in the sneaky corner of this game, by the way, the San Francisco Titans game was like closer than it probably should have been. That I just found interesting.
37-24, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
that was
still covered, but
still just kind of those things I was like, oh, that's going on there. I'm more curious about the San Francisco defense because I think Cam Ward's a solid quarterback. That's an off-season discussion I think we're definitely going to have, especially whenever the Titans figure out what they're doing. I think Cam Ward is a legit QB, and I just hope he does not get ruined because he's shown a lot of skills and promise this first year. He's just throwing to nobody. I could not name you a Titans receiver right now. Isn't Treylon Burks there? He was
no, he's not. He is with
See, that's the only guy the last 3 years.
What team does he play for? Because he caught a touchdown pass.
It was in Seattle. He was some crazy catch. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was like the 3 o'clock window, and he made that nutso catch. It was like his second touchdown ever. Or it was a Sunday night game.
He plays for the Commanders.
He plays for the Washington.
Yeah, exactly. But isn't it scary that? And you want to know the reason I remember Treylon Burks is he used to give Missouri hell at Arkansas.
He was the guy.
I don't remember those Titans days.
Flint, Michigan's own.
Really?
Yeah.
He was the guy they traded. They traded AJ Brown, then they drafted him.
He would his beautiful eyes.
He would throw. So Cam Ward throws to Gunnar Helm, who's a rookie tight end out of.
What about Iyanna Moore or whatever?
University of Texas. They have Van Jefferson.
Really?
Chig Onkunwo.
What?
I think he's another tight end.
This is like who he plays for segment.
Alec
all Titans players.
Aomanor. I can't even tell you.
Yes, that's what I was talking about. Eric. Or Elik Ayamanor.
It's bad. It's bad. We're not getting the pronunciations right, dog.
Tremaine. I think this is Tremaine Dyke. Tremaine Dyke.
You're gonna get in trouble for that one.
I mean, Dike.
Yeah,
that's Dyke, right?
Yeah. You hope so.
I don't care.
I'm just telling you right. But all this kind of proves the point of just how little he has in terms of what he's throwing to, and some of those issues there in Tennessee. So I really hope he doesn't get wasted. This is one of those things I wish. Let's go back to our earlier conversation. This is a place Fernando Mendoza would end up, right? Even though the place Fernando Mendoza is going to end up is on those JETS Jets. Brady Cook tried his damnedest. As a fellow Missouri man, I did appreciate him trying, but it did not matter. The Jags are also a team I am eyeing here. They are good. Like they did the same thing that the Bears did this week, which is beat up on a team they're supposed to. It shows me a couple of things. Like especially this late in the season. One, I'll go through the three teams that kind of beat up on lessers, right? Like the Bears, we did not do that in LA earlier this year in Las Vegas. My apologies, against those same Raiders that the Eagles took out, but we did it here against Cleveland. That shows you how much better the Bears have gotten this year. Philly, you're still good, right? I know, get it. Trevor's has all those like major life concerns and problems. AJ Brown will will say something that will get everyone mad for 3 days. That's fine, but again, I just go back to Jacksonville. Liam Cohen's starting to figure it out there. They're playing real well.
Oh.
And they might be in the playoffs.
Oh.
They're definitely in the playoffs.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence had 6 total touchdowns today.
How many turnovers? How many turnovers? I feel like he had at least 5.
I don't think did he have any?
Let me look.
He had like 56 points in a league. I don't know if it's our league or.
I am currently looking. He had no interceptions, 5 touchdown passes, 330 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. No, he did not have any turnovers today.
I didn't think so. Yeah.
Wow, this is the Trevor Lawrence we watched at Clemson.
Yeah, like I'm just keeping an eye on there, and again, I do want to make sure I'm very clear here. I get it. The Jets are just, that's a rebuild. That's a crater right now. But you're supposed to do that to teams that are cratering. So that's very big here. Obviously, also LA taking down Detroit. We haven't got to that yet.
Yeah, no, that's a big one. That helps the Bears yet again with the Lions, who I will say the Lions have to go to Soldier Field, last game of the year, outside, double glove Jared Goff.
Dude, the way that the Lions put the hurt on the Bears earlier this year still gies me concern.
We're gonna crush him.
I'm not as brash and bold to predict that we will be winning that game. I do think it'll be way closer. But yeah, again, a very consequential week, not just standings wise, but I think for a lot of these teams in terms of like health, like teams that came out of this week primarily healthy and did not have a major injury, really become the big winners. Like, yes, this is the Bears. It's also, I say the same here for like the Texans. Like you beat up on the Cardinals. That's a big deal. And not to get hurt. The Chargers, we have not talked about them at all. I get it. Mahomes is hurt. That's the headline here. You still win and beat the Chiefs twice this year. Right. And they keep winning, and they keep winning ugly. And Justin Herbert has one hand. We're talking about double glove Jared Goff. What about one hand Justin Herbert still finding a way to win games?
That sounds like an outlaw in the Wild West.
Yeah, he's like getting onto his pirate case, but like if you put Justin Herbert in a pirate hat, I think he would just he'd be like a cat, just kind of like shrug it off. Justin Herbert's just an outdoor cat. Yeah, that's all he is.
That's true. That's so true.
Also, I'm just very glad that none of us talked about the Thursday night game. That's it. Don't say anything else. Don't say another word.
I don't even remember what it was.
Exactly. It was that Atlanta.
I do remember it because I have playoffs, not in our league, but in the other league I'm in, and I have Kyle Pitts, and he had 40 points.
Yeah. That game, I think, is that's going to be the game that keeps Kyle Pitts in the league for like 3 more years. Because
great uniform game, though. Great uniform game.
Let's keep it at that. I don't.
I'm glad that none of us have talked about the Sunday night game.
That's what I was about to say. I do not want to watch J.J. McCarthy play Sunday night football against the Cowboys. This is a joke.
No, I'm playing Luke in fantasy this weekend. It's like 8 players in this game, so I'm hoping that it's 3-3.
When we can flex out of games, we keep this game. When we had Rams, Lions, Broncos, Packers, Bills, Patriots.
Bills Patriots should have been flex here. I like
this is disgustingly gross.
I do like the fact that we had the dual, at least here in St. Louis. I'm assuming you guys had the same. We had the dual, very rare dual CBS and Fox game.
Yeah, we had that as well.
Love that. So I don't have a problem with the games that are at 4:00 in that separate window being together because I think they're both very good games. Perfect where they wanted, perfect where it was. No, the Sunday night game should be Buffalo, New England. That was a fantastic game, and would have been under those lights. Yeah, this dude.
So I don't care to watch J.J. McCarthy. I don't care to watch him put everything he has into a throw to go 15 yards, watch his eye black get smeared all over his face, and talk about how he's not good at anything, but man, he has a whole lot of heart. I don't care about that.
I just think that Dallas is going to roll. Maybe and like the last time I truly questioned a Dallas Sunday night game, we got probably one of the best Sunday night games, that 40-40 tie.
Yeah.
So maybe I want to be careful at how I talk about this, but like, yeah, I just think Dallas, like the vibes in Minneapolis are terrible. And I kind of like, if you would have told me at this point that one NFC North team is going to feel terrible this year and really down on their young quarterback, and you would tell me it was Minneapolis, I'd be like, oh, really? Not that I thought J.J. McCarthy was the truth. I just thought he had all the weapons and Kevin O'Connell to fix it. Like, I thought the infrastructure was solid enough, and it just has not been. And McCarthy's has been bad.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
mind you, they still beat up the Commanders, who just won this weekend by 30 points and shut them out, which is wildly confusing to me too.
so this is a crazy stat. So the leading passer for the Vikings is Carson Wentz. He has 1,200 yards in 5 games. J.J. McCarthy's played in 7 games, has more attempts, and has 1,902 yards. A completion percentage, Carson Wentz was 65%. J.J. McCarthy's is 56%. Touchdowns, what are touchdowns? JJ has 9 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Carson Wentz has 6-5. This is hilarious. I did the whole JJ McCarthy thing to me was just and to get rid of Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones to then play JJ McCarthy and Kevin O'Connell. I don't know. It's just the whole thing is funny to me.
Give me Josh Jobs. Bring him back. What is he doing right now?
Yeah, he's probably on the Patriots.
No, that makes sense.
Wasn't he like an aero engineer or something? He's probably at NASA.
Looking like you and me, Jerry, next week, sir, in playoffs.
Yeah, if I beat Luke here, I don't know if I'm going to do that.
The zoo will reign. The Kalamazoo people are coming against you. You're playing on the road. You're playing on the road this playoffs.
If we were going to, I'll tell you this right now. If any Missouri Tiger team had to go to Kalamazoo, that'd be just disgusting for both programs. God, that'd be bad vibes. And speaking of disgusting and bad vibes, that's Monday Night Football. I think that's a great way to describe it. It just feels grimy.
Dolphins are back, baby.
The Dolphins have a chance to have a winning season, guys.
Go Fins.
That's crazy. The Dolphins, who were all just like, everyone wrote off. Tyreek Hill tearing his leg and clapping has become a meme. And in return, they've won 4 straight. Now I think they beat me, you, and Trevor. Right? That was the 3 teams they played right now in terms of just.
Those are solid 3 teams, Jerry.
3. If we need to pick college football teams, yes, to win games. If it were kind of put us on the NFL field, we get toasted. That's fine. And the Steelers just. Mike Tomlin.
TJ Watt only has 1 lung. Now that's confirmed.
Jesus Christ!
Half his lung has been cut in half, and he's down to 1 lung.
I'm just telling you.
1.5 lung.
Yeah, I don't know. I think once you lose half a lung, I think you're down 1 lung.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin to Michigan. You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what he's going to say? The same thing he said about college. He's going to laugh and say, "College, really? We're not talking about this. Move on." Jerry, they're gonna get Harbaugh. They're gonna get John Harbaugh. He's coming to Michigan.
God.
They're getting a Michigan man.
Oh my God, we're gonna have a scandal about grilled cheese. Oh my God. At first it was milk and a burger, and now it's gonna be milk, cheese, and mac and cheese. I don't know. It has to be some dairy product that's involved with John Harbaugh.
They're getting a Michigan man, Jerry. That's who they go after. The Michigan men. They have high morality and they do great.
Right, that 9-3 is gonna hit different when it's just a different Harbaugh. That 9-3 is going to smack with Bryce Underwood and John Harbaugh and confuse John Harbaugh in Ann Arbor. Oh. And NBC cameras will still be there for the Big Ten game of the week when they barely lose to Nebraska, and Nebraska thinks it's the Super Bowl. I love the sport.
I mean, you never know. So we have NFL on Saturday, which is crazy, with the college football playoff also being this weekend. It's kind of, I think this is the NFL trying to prove hey, no matter even if you have the playoffs, we're bigger and better than you. Bears play Saturday night, so that'll be interesting. 8:00. The playoffs, like I said, kick off Friday with Oklahoma, Alabama. So we will see. We'll have our picks Wednesday. We will do that. We'll figure that out. We'll see if Michigan has a coach by then. Don't really know. Hopefully
by Sunday.
Hopefully they keep butter knives away from one man. That'd be great. But I mean, a lot going on. NFL is getting down to the nitty gritty. We're trying to figure some things out. playoffs in college football. Some teams are going to prove if they really deserve to be in the playoff or not, and we're going to go from there. But I mean,
Roll wave, go Dukes.
You're picking some upsets there, Jerry. You're picking some.
I'm not going to pick them. I just want them to win. That'd be great.
It'd be
for prize purposes.
It'd be
Solely
funny.
Vibes, it'd be great.
We will see. But no, so me and Trevor will be back Wednesday. And as always, thanks for watching.
Peace.
Bear down, baby.